My name is Ramona Shackelford, and I am the coordinator of the Northwoods Cooperative Weed Management Area. And our organization works from in far northern Wisconsin, including Iron, Ashland, Bayfield, and Douglas counties. And in the spring, we do a lot of work with garlic mustard. Why do we go after garlic mustard? I mean, there's a lot of different invasive plants around. And what makes garlic mustard so special that we put so much effort into this one species? Well, one important thing is the habitat it's in. It's often in hardwood forests, and it can just take over the understory and push out all those native ephemeral plants. It flowers in the early spring along with the beautiful ephemeral spring plants. So that is very significant. Here, if you look around, it has not done that at this point. We have been working in the Montreal, along the Montreal floodplain for quite a long time. Another big issue with garlic mustard is it can spread very fast. So some species spread through root material, and some, bushes kind of will creep slowly because they have to get established. But garlic mustard can spread really fast. It has tiny seeds. They can be viable for over 10 years. So when you find a patch, you need to treat it right away, else it could spread and just take over a large area. They are allelopathic, so they can actually put off some chemicals that make it so other plants can't germinate. So actually they can impede forest regeneration. So even for foresters, this is a very problematic plant. The interesting thing about garlic mustard is it is a biennial species. So it just lives 2 years. The first year it will sprout, and it will, you can look at this, it will have little seedlings. So these little guys here, these are garlic mustard that just started sprouting this spring. They're not going to flower this year, so we don't focus too much on them because there's a lot there. So these guys, probably there was a plant right here last year that we missed. It went to seed, and so there's a scattering of little babies. Here are some adult garlic mustard. You can see they have 4 petals, 4 white petals, distinctly white. They can get much taller than this. They can get up to 4 feet. These are just about a foot maybe. When they're the first year ones, you can see have like heart-shaped sort of leaves. Sometimes they're roundish. They have teeth, but they're kind of lobe sort of teeth. When they get bigger, they have more arrow-shaped teeth with these deeper kind of lobes, and they're more triangular shaped. And then, they can look a little cute sometimes for a little while, but they really can cause a lot of damage. Point about it, it is technically a mustard, but it's called garlic mustard because it has a very strong smell. If you take a plant and crush it up, you will smell a garlicky smell. Okay, so here it's very important that you don't pick the wrong plant whenever you're doing some kind of control. Here we have our garlic mustard. The upper leaves are very distinct, but sometimes you'll just see the basal leaves, the bottom leaves, and they are a little more tricky to pick out. Garlic mustard has wide, rounded teeth and alternate leaves. The basal leaves are round and kidney-shaped to heart-shaped. Then we have a violet, and they have heart-shaped leaves that are much more identical, and they have very fine teeth if you look around the edges. And then also we have Creeping Charlie here, which is smaller. It has smaller leaves, and the plants are connected by the roots, and also they're opposite leaves. So the leaves are opposite one another along the stem, and they're much smaller than garlic mustard. They may be a little tricky in the early spring, but still the leaves are smaller. Okay, so let's look at a map.
Here are the 4 counties of the NCWMA, and the red dots are sites of garlic mustard. There are additional ones. One thing you note is that most of them start along in towns. Often they pop up in people's yards. Even when they aren't showing a town, it is often on a trail or trailhead. So it's usually somebody that has it in their shoes, we would guess. It's hard to determine exactly where it comes from, but they typically start on trails or in people's yards, and they probably came on seeds of shoes or tires. And another important thing, there's 2 sites that are gigantic. That's the one in Mellon, which is kind of in the central with the star, and in Hurley, which has the other star. So now I'd like to show some videos at different sites so you get an idea of what the sites look like and what the plants look like different times in the spring. So let's look at some different videos here. Okay, here's a site of garlic mustard in the city of Bayfield on May 10th. And as you can see, garlic mustard is the only plant growing at that time. Garlic mustard is green all winter long, and so you can see the rosettes as the snow melts. So it's one of the first things you'll see. This would be a good time to use herbicide because it's so dense. If you pulled these out, all of these out, it would cause a lot of erosion problems. And if you treat it early in the spring at this time, there would not be so much damage to any of the neighboring plants, or it could be late in the fall when everything else is dead. Here we are along the Bad River floodplain in Mellon, Wisconsin, and there is garlic mustard that was found here in 2007, and it was very dense at that time. We, which includes many different organizations within the Northwoods Cooperative Weed Management Area, treat 70 acres of this. The garlic mustard really follows the floodplain of the Bad River. It actually goes farther than that 70 acres, but the 70 acres is focused on, which is the most downstream that we know of. And it is just upstream of Copper Falls State Park and the Bad River Indian Reservation, so that is why there's a focus here. It also has a very diverse plant habitat, so there's a lot of native species here. The Great Lake Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission, or GLFWC, does a lot of the work here preparing for hand pulling events. They survey and flag the area and GPS the different points. We have 5 days that are scheduled for hand pulling, and then students from Mellon School have come to help, and the Spring Flora class from Northland College has come to help. Also, we've had groups from the Boys and Girls Club from Odana, and usually we have one big day in which we have a lot of different groups coming, and then we have a cookout at lunchtime during the day, and then continue hand pulling the entire day. And so we give this free cookout for everyone. Of course, in 2020, we are not doing that, but we are still hand pulling throughout the whole area. So although garlic mustard is still throughout this entire area, it is at a low density. So there are lots of little pockets of garlic mustard, so the area has to be surveyed very thoroughly to find all that garlic mustard. And even today, people are out there hand pulling garlic mustard after they've gone through it about twice. And then in addition, there is often a late fall herbicide treatment so that everything else is dormant and the garlic mustard is treated. So this is a very good success situation, although it's ongoing. Every year they come back and keep on maintaining it.
Hi, my name is Zach Wilson. I work for the Iron County Land and Water Conservation Department, and we're down here along the Montreal River in the city of Hurley, which borders Ironwood, the state of Michigan. And we're down in this garlic mustard patch along the river in the floodplain, and we've been here for working on this site for 10 years, and we've tried a couple different things. One is we involved our local school district, the Hurley elementary students, and each year we bring them out to this site, educate them about invasive species, and employ them into hand-picking garlic mustard. The other option is herbicide, which was done through a contractor on the Michigan side. So we kind of had a neat little case study here where we did hand pulling on one side and herbicide on the other. And again, we've been here for 10 years. And so we've employed these students, and we have actually a wonderful partnership with the Ottawa National Forest, our weed cooperative management area, a county, and tribal, the Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission. So it's been multiple agencies that have come to this site for the last 10 years. And on the Wisconsin side, we've been hand pulling. And hand pulling, well, first you want to identify the plant. And we like to get it where it's kind of flowering or just starting to flower, because it's really easy to see, much easier to see. And these second-year plants are quite tall. And what we like to do is go down towards the base and kind of clump it together in some situations. And you give just a couple little tugs. And we try to get the whole root system, and it's got a little bit of a tap root, and the whole thing will pull up. Always just be cautious with invasive species, where you would like to make sure you bag those flower heads. If possible, there are seeds there. So I typically put it in a garbage bag and go until we fill up the bag. And after we get our bags full, we throw them in a truck, and I actually weigh them. It's kind of interesting to see how we've done over the years. And I believe a couple years we had 800 pounds of garlic mustard we pulled with our local Hurley students. From there, I actually line them out. I take them out of the truck and I line them out onto blacktop, and I let them cook for a good part of the summer. And every week I take about 5 to 10 bags and I throw it in a dumpster. So I'm letting that heat just cook them inside that bag, hopefully trying to kill that plant before it goes to the landfill, and then it can decompose. What we don't want to do is actually then spread it. So letting it cook in the sun is an important part of this process.
So here is another location with garlic mustard that is along the Montreal River floodplain, and this is an area where it has been hand pulled for about 10 years, and also there's a lot of native species here. There still is garlic mustard throughout the whole area, but it is not too dense. Directly across the river in Michigan, this is the scene where there is a monoculture of garlic mustard. It isn't throughout the entire area, but in this particular area it's very dense. And this area has been herbicide over the years, and it has not been hand pulled. Here's an area in southern Iron County that was discovered to have garlic mustard in it. This area was logged in 2018, so not that long ago. But nevertheless, the garlic mustard is spread throughout the logged area. There's areas where it is quite dense, and we have to cut it with a line trimmer because we just don't have time to hand pull it all, and it's a little late to use herbicide. So this brings up the point that it's really important to wash and brush off shoes. Whenever you're out in the woods, you don't know where the invasive species are. So you should always be brushing off shoes. ATVs should be washed off after they go to one site and are moved to a different area. And also equipment, forestry equipment. This may have been brought in by forestry equipment, so it should always be washed between different sites that it's used in. So it's very important to prevent garlic mustard from being brought into different sites.
Hi
Hi everyone, I'm Scott Caven. I'm the Aquatic Invasive Species Coordinator with the Ashland County Land and Water Conservation Department. Ashland County is a very proud member of the Northwoods Cooperative Weed Management Area. So today we're out here, out in the field, and we are removing this invasive garlic mustard in the city of Ashland. And we're working on this project here, and as you can see, there is a lot of garlic mustard all over the place in this particular location. So you can see there's all kinds of it. Like a lot of invasive species, or basically every invasive species, garlic mustard is a very prolific breeder, and as you can see, it can really form kind of a monoculture of plants, really outcompete our good native plants. So we're always looking for really good volunteers, so if you're interested in joining the fight on invasive species, please reach out to Northwoods Cooperative Weed Management Area, and we look forward to working with you soon. Thank you.